There are limitations to the annotation system I've described to this point. I'll review some of the issues here, and in later sections I'll show you how to improve the system to address these issues. First problem is that when you're reviewing a document, you might find it difficult to remember what a particular color means. So, you've got your greens and your pinks and yellows and all these things. However, the reality is that you can create an annotation key, as I've done here, to remember the mapping basically between the color and the annotation category. So in fact, I think that you can easily get the hang of this system. There are more serious problems, however, with the system as it stands. For example, if you're even just partly colorblind, the colors might not stand out enough for you in the document. If you're even just a little bit colorblind, you might have difficulty distinguishing between the different colors. And even if you're not colorblind, you might find it difficult to distinguish the colors in the sidebar because the color tags here are fairly faint. A more serious problem is that you only have 5 colors to deal with here. So what you need to do in this particular system here is you're mapping one color to multiple annotation categories. So when you look at a yellow highlight, you don't really know, for instance, whether it's a major claim, the thesis, a problem, the goal, the principle, the summary, or whatever. So you have to dig into the document. But if you're looking for, the problems in a book, you won't be able to tell where they lie based merely on the colors of your highlights. And some annotation categories don't fit neatly in the categories that we have laid out here. For instance, you might want to make a note of an example. Cognitive science has shown that strong learners use examples very productively. So if you encounter a good example for a particularly important point that you want to better understand, remember, and utilize, you might want to tag it as an example so that later when you're reviewing the document, you can go back specifically to the examples. You might also want to make a note that there is a list. Maybe you want to record an action item and you want to later find all of your action items. Or maybe you want to make a note that something's a hypothesis or the methods or a fact. Sometimes what really stands out in your mind after you read a document is that some particular passage is funny, and you might want to actually get to that passage. Well, these categories here don't map neatly onto these categories here. So what are you going to do about it? We'll show you a system that will enable you to utilize a greater number of categories. And that's important because cognitive science has shown that experts use a much larger number of categories than novices, and they do this quite efficiently.